So even though I have just celebrated my 34th birthday, I actually don't really have that many books that I got for my birthday. However, the last book haul I uploaded was back at the start of March. However, I filmed that weeks beforehand. So the book haul that I'm about to show you are books I bought from the 23rd of February specifically up until now, the middle of May. So it has been about 2.5 months since the last update. I do have around about 50 books to show you, so I'm going to get straight into it. So if you do end up enjoying this book haul, please leave a like, subscribe if you haven't already, and let's get into my book haul. So one of the first books I want to show you is A Bond Undone by Jin Young. This is the second book in the Legend of the Condor Hero series. I read book one back in April 2025, and I read it while I was in China, and I freaking loved it. I thought it was so good, and I have been praising it to high heavens ever since, and I've been waiting for the Broken Binding to release the rest of the series, and they have just released book two, so that I do have a matching edition, and I'm going to be diving right into this as soon as I possibly can. This is set in 13th century China, and there are several wars going on. We follow Guo Jing, and he is the son of a hero, and we do have the 7 heroes of the south trying to find Guo Jing after some really messy and murderous things happened at the start of A Hero Born. So the first book was so good, I really enjoyed it, and I was desperate for this to come out. I'm so glad that the Broken Binding decided to release it. I was a little bit worried because it took about a year for them to do this, and I was worried that they wouldn't continue releasing the series because I thought, oh, maybe the first book didn't sell that well, but fortunately they have pulled through, so now I just need to wait for books 3 and 4, and we've got a complete set. I did pre-order All These Worlds by Dennis A. Taylor. This is the third book in the Bobiverse series. The first book is called We Are Legion, We Are Bob, and I read the first book a couple of months now. It is a sci-fi fantasy. The first book involved Bob, who wants to get cryogenically frozen. However, he ends up dying on his way out of the first meeting about it. He then wakes up years and years and years in the future, and now he is just a unfrozen head. He's being given tasks that he needs to do, and he doesn't really have much of a choice in the matter. There was some interesting themes explored in the first book and a lot of commentary, and I genuinely can't wait to see what the second book actually ends up entailing. So I have no idea what this one is actually about, and this is the third book in that series. I still need to read book 2, which is called For We Are Many, so I will read that one first and then obviously go on to this one. So the next book I have already read, and it is Everyone in This Bank is a Thief by Benjamin Stevenson. I actually ended up giving this one 4 stars, I believe it was, about a month ago, and I freaking love the Ernest Cunningham series. The first 2 books I gave around about 4.5 to a 5 star. This is not my favorite book in the series, but it is a little bit better than the Christmas novella that I read. And just every single book so far has still been absolutely fun to read, so entertaining. So Ernest Cunningham is a mystery writer. However, he keeps getting embroiled in mysteries himself, and in this one he gets embroiled in this bank heist, and it's just so ridiculous at times, but so funny. I love the characters so much. In fact, I love Ernest and his fiance. I think they have such a great relationship, and I'm actually not 100% sure if there are more books in the series. I really do hope that there are, because I just find it so utterly engrossing to read, and I need more entertaining books to read that aren't too serious and don't take themselves too seriously. There was a certain scene in this that was just oh my god, I rolled my eyes, but in the best way possible. So please do read the first one. Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. So good. I have also read the next book. In fact, it might be a little bit of a spoiler for my next Emboss or Toss, because the next 2 books that I will talk about, I'm going to give you my ratings for them. But the first book is The Red Winter by Cameron Sullivan. I gave this one a 5 star. I just did a YouTube short of the 5-star books I've read so far this year. As soon as I finished filming that short and edited and uploaded it, I read this one and I gave it 5 stars. So that short is already redundant. I have a 5th one, my 5th 5-star of the year, and this was so good. So this is set in 1785 predominantly, and it is about the Beast of Gévaudan, and we have Professor Sebastian. He is someone who, about 20 years before, did try and take down the Beast of Gévaudan, and 20 years later, we have a sort of a return. And now this professor has to help with the current bloody situation. And I freaking loved it. 5 stars, genuinely. I thought it was so good. I wasn't expecting some of the more supernatural elements of this one. I feel like because I went into it expecting more of a historical fantasy, I got a little bit more supernatural, and we had ghosts, we had witches, we had a succubi and things like that. So it's definitely an amalgamation of many different sort of folktale kind of characters, but also incredibly funny and LGBTQ plus as well. Just want to say, so good. So good. I was rooting for it. Oh, the next book, I don't have I still haven't talked about it yet in my vlog, but it is The Book of Fallen Leaves by A.S. Tamaki. This one came in a Fairyloot Epic Fantasy box, and as I can say, I'm partway through, but I do think I'm going to end up DNFing this one. I don't think I like it all that much. I'm about 100 pages in. We do have an exiled prince called Sen, and his father was exiled because of a rebellion that he tried to enact. And we do have another character who kind of saved the prince, and there are like different point of view characters and stuff like that, which has been fine so far. But 100 pages in, I've been given like a lot of history, and it feels like a lot of history lessons back to back. And I don't know enough about the characters yet to fully feel many things for them. And I just feel like I'm just getting told a whole lot of stuff, and I don't really enjoy that kind of storytelling style. So I might end up giving this one a DNF. I haven't really talked about it just yet in the vlog that I'm currently filming, so I will talk more about my thoughts in it in that. But I mean, it's a gorgeous book, and yeah, Fairyloot Epic Fantasy, which have been pretty good. Like, I have enjoyed that subscription box, and it's just so incredibly stunning. But you know what? Stunning books do not make fantastic books all the time, and unfortunately this is not really feeling like the one for me. But at least I've given it a go, and I haven't fully decided if I'm going to DNF, but I do think I will. Just saying. You'll have to tune into the next Imposter Toss to find out if I actually DNF'd. Okay, back to books I have read and really enjoyed. I did love Witch Trial by Harriet Tice. I gave this one a 4.5 a couple of months ago. This one follows a trial, and I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy that, to be quite honest. And it goes through a classmate who got murdered, and the two main suspects have been arrested for it, and those suspects are her schoolmates. So it's a little bit messy, and it does have a lot of like the craft imagery, a lot of like witchy kind of imagery as well. And the case itself was incredibly interesting, and we predominantly follow one of the jury members, and it was just such a wild ride, and it was so quick and easy to read. I found myself flying through the pages. In fact, it didn't take me long to read at all. I don't often buy thrillers at all, but Harriet Tice was a contestant on the most recent UK season of The Traitors, and that's why I ended up picking this one up, and it's signed by the author too. So yeah, I had to pick this one up, like 100% had to pick this one up, and I'm so glad I did, because again, I did really enjoy it. My Husband's Wife by Alice Feeney was my next thriller purchase, and again, this is another one that I'm pretty glad I purchased. I don't often buy thriller books. I would rather check them out in my library, but this one I did see in HMV, and it is a signed independent bookshop edition. So, you know, we were supporting. Love the sprayed edges. It is properly signed, so it's not just a signed book plate, which I'm always side-eyeing a little bit. But this one was so fascinating. I read this one for my most recent TBR Traders video, and we have a woman called Eden. She goes out for a run, and then when she comes back home, she's locked out. She knocks on the door. A different woman answers, who claims to be her, and her husband is also like, "Who are you? I have no idea who you are. Get off my property." And it was so wild. It's so weird and so crazy. Do I think this is a perfect thriller? Absolutely not. I do think it gets a little bit convoluted, but I did predominantly enjoy this one, and it was a riveting time. I did not expect the ending, in all honesty. I do have a little bit of a reaction to the very last chapter. I was like, oh, okay. I thought it was over, but apparently not. And this was my first Alice Feeney, so it was a risk. It was a risk to actually buy this one, but it was a risk I was willing to take. As part of one of my many Broken Binding book box subscriptions, I got Green and Deadly Things by Jen Lyons, and again, this is another stunning edition. I have read a book by Jen Lyons before, and I liked it, but I have not yet tried this one. And I'm not gonna lie, I do think I might have to give one of those Broken Binding subscriptions that I have a miss. I'm not 100% sure which one, definitely not the fantasy one. And I have cut down dramatically on a lot of my book boxes, but the Broken Binding, I mean, having 3 Broken Binding subscriptions is maybe getting a little bit ridiculous. So we're going to see how that one goes. So this one is set in a world of alchemy, and we follow a character called Mythic, I think, and they join the Order of the Knights in order to protect the world from this alchemy magic. There are monsters that awaken in forests. There are threats to civilization. And so, yeah, our main character has to sort of deal with that. It does sound really good. I don't know why, it kind of gives me a little bit of Breath of the Wild vibes, just from that kind of synopsis, you know, like monsters coming back to life. Reminds me of, are they called like the Guardians? I haven't played Breath of the Wild in a hot minute, and I would never fight those Guardian things. I would always run away. I've never actually defeated one. And I'm more of an exploration kind of gal, so whenever I play Legend of Zelda, I'm usually exploring rather than fighting. I'm an explorer, not a fighter. But yeah, for some reason it reminded me of that just based off the synopsis. I'm probably very, very wrong. But if anyone's read this, do let me know. My love McKenna from McKenna Loves Content was so lovely. Okay, we did a live show for Kayla's Literary Debut Club, and it was McKenna's first live show, and she had no reason to be nervous because she killed it. And as a thank you for being on the live show with her, she ended up sending me a couple of books, which she didn't have to. She genuinely didn't have to, but she absolutely has to push the David Attenborough agenda. And I do love the man. I do. I think he's awesome. His 100th birthday was one day after mine. Yes, I also turned 100. Born the day before David Attenborough. What a flex. But McKenna did send me A Life on Our Planet and Ocean, Earth's Last Wilderness. And I have not really read that many non-fiction books, but if I was going to read any, it would be David Attenborough, let's be honest. It'll be so interesting as well because, yeah, I do love the earth. I love the environment. I love wanting to protect the environment. And I do believe Ocean definitely has a documentary, at least. A Life on Our Planet might as well. I'm not 100% sure, actually. But I do plan on maybe watching some documentaries, reading these books, especially since I think like Shark Week and some like nature celebrating weeks are approaching. And I think it would genuinely be so fascinating to see and learn all about our oceans, which do scare me. Oceans do scare me. I mean, I love them, but I kind of want to stay away from them a little bit. Like, I don't want to be on the ocean. There's just like too many things underneath that we do not know about yet. But it does fascinate me. It genuinely does. But thank you so much, McKenna, for sending me these. I do appreciate you. You didn't have to. They are going to get read. Don't you worry. Another gifted book was Silver Cloak by L.K. Stephen. My friend Adam gave me this. And I have read like Laura Stevens' young adult. I think this is adult. I don't think this is young adult. But there's been so much buzz about this, especially last year. And quite a few people who I enjoy watching really enjoyed this. So we follow Saffron, and her parents were murdered when she was younger, destroyed her childhood, and now she is, bloodthirsty for revenge, and she joins the Silver Cloak Academy. And I do believe this is set in a world where the magic comes from pain and pleasure. What that really fully means, I have no idea. But look at this map. Look at it. I freaking love a map within a book. It is stunning. But as I say, just because it's stunning doesn't mean it's an amazing book. I will be the judge of that. But I don't think I was ever going to go on my way to purchase this one. This was one where I was a little bit on the fence about getting. But because my friend Adam gave me this because he had an additional copy, then I was like, okay, I'll take it off your hands. No worries. And the last gifted books, this is a little bit ridiculous, but my friend was getting rid of them. But that is the Wayward Children series, number 1 through 10. So we have Every Hard Doorway, Down Among the Sticks and Bones, Beneath the Sugar Sky, In an Absent Dream, Come Tumbling Down, Across the Green Grass Fields, Where the Drowned Girls Go, Lost in the Moment and Found, Mislaid in Parts Half Known, and Adrift in Currents Clean and Clear. So these are the first 10 books in the series. And yes, my friend Steph from Steph Loves sent me a photo of her unhaul and said, Gavin, do you want any of these? And I looked at these and I was like, I've always had my eye on them. I've never been able to find them in the wild in the UK. I don't think they're like really fully published in the UK, but she was getting rid of them. And I was like, well, maybe now's the time. Maybe now is the time that I actually give these a go. And I do think there are 12 books so far, and there's a 13th book coming out, which is a little bit ridiculous. I'm like, when does the series end? But I am so excited to finally give this one a chance. I have never read Every Hard Doorway or any of these books. And I do think a complete series reading vlog is on the horizon at some point. Maybe when the 13th book comes out. I think it's like January 2027. So there could be a little bit of a cheeky reading vlog for these, filled with spoilers. I think filled with spoilers. Because I've heard such great things about, well, definitely some of these books. I don't know how people feel about all of them. Let me know if you have a favourite Wayward Children series book. And yeah, I'm so excited to read them. I always find it fascinating, the spines, because it always looks like a library book, at least like the first few books. The part on the bottom there where it says Tor, yeah, it kind of looks like library books. And I love that. I love the feel of that. And I don't really know anything about the series other than it is a young adult fantasy series, I believe. And I think it's a portal fantasy. I do think there is another world that people can go into. From Fairy I did get the Stalking Jack the Ripper series by Kerry Maniscalco, and I have already read Stalking Jack the Ripper. I read this back in 2021, and I think it was actually for the Books and Lala Enneagram video, I think it was for that one, and I liked this one. I liked it. I didn't continue then, but yeah, as soon as I saw that Fairy Loot were doing an edition of it, I thought, yeah, let's do it. Let's add to the complete series collection, I guess, because I did love the way that these looked, and I did back in the day want to collect these books. but I never liked any of the covers that came out before. I just thought they were a little bit ugly, and I didn't want to collect the series that way. Which again is very superficial, I know. Yeah, as soon as Fairy Loot announced these editions, I knew that it was time. It was absolutely time. That is the right way, isn't it? I think that's the right way. I guess I could put it anyway, to be honest. But yes, there we have Stalking Jack the Ripper, and then hunting Prince Dracula, escaping from Houdini, and finally capturing the devil. Now, I haven't heard the best things about the rest of the series. I've heard great things about the first two. And of course, I did enjoy the first book when I read it. We actually follow Audrey, and she loses her mother, and she is very fascinated by death by that point. And she trades in being like a high-class Victorian lady for someone who apprentices in forensics. There is, of course, a serial killer who is currently wreaking havoc in London, Jack the Ripper, and from then we have a little bit of a mystery on our hands. I do think I'm going to reread the first book before continuing the series, but it is definitely on the cards, and just very happy to have a collection of them that match, look nice, and have a bit of a pride of place on my bookshelves. From the Broken Binding, I do have Wool and Shift by Hugh Howey, and these are both sci-fi books. And yeah, I am very happy to have these, don't get me wrong. But I'm wondering if maybe, yeah, the sci-fi subscription I might cut back on. I do believe this is dystopian, and this huge community now live underground in this, I guess like a kind of silo. There are apparently very strict rules in this place, and if you don't follow them, then who knows what will happen. So there is a full-on series. I do believe book 3 will be coming very soon from the Broken Binding. So yeah, I will give these a go. I did thrift this book called The Descent by Jeff Long. I'm not 100% sure if this actually inspired the horror film The Descent, which I do love. The British horror film The Descent came out in 2005, I believe. And this one is a bit of an older kind of horror, and I do have a plan for it. I do. I'm not going to say exactly what that plan is because it is for Vlogs of Halloween. But this one, there are these cave-dwelling creatures, and they are murderous and ravenous. Some call them demons. They are real, and they are waiting for us. And that is scary, that is terrifying. But I don't know if maybe the horror movie was loosely based off of this, or if it doesn't have anything to do with it. I will look into it a little bit more, but I do have plans for it. I'm very excited. I did thrift this off eBay, and it is a little bit of a big one, actually. It's nearly 600 pages in kind of smallish writing, but pretty good condition though, to be fair. Like, the pages aren't even yellow or anything, so it's been kept very, very well. After uploading my top 100 books of all time video, and me saying that I've never read 1984 by George Orwell, I did end up picking it up because the amount of comments from people saying, Gavin, how have you not read 1984? And I do have a lot of those comments for different books as well, but I think the one that was mentioned the most was this one. So I have gone out of my way to get a copy, and I would like to try and tackle some of those books that are on that list that a lot of people are mortified that I have not yet read. This is dystopian, Big Brother is watching, and like, I do know the basic premise of this. I do know like how scarily accurate and real it is to like real life, essentially not having any freedom or any privacy as well, and the fear that kind of imbues in society. I have read Animal Farm and I did like it, so who knows, maybe I will end up enjoying this even more. While I was looking around in Forbidden Planet, I did see this cheeky little number, which is called The Soul Catchers, and it is written by Naoko Higashi and translated by Lucy North, and it is a Japanese rediscovered classic. So this one has a bit of a weird premise. We have 11 protagonists, and they each have died, but they are given the opportunity to go back to their loved ones, but as different objects. So you could come back as a mug, you could come back as a necklace, you could come back as a hearing aid, you could come back as pretty much anything. And I think this explores the weirdness of that, or like how that affects each of these protagonists in different ways. Like, do you really want to go back to your loved ones in this way? The premise of this genuinely fascinated me, and I ended up having to go for it. I have been a little bit hit or miss with a lot of the translated fiction that I've read this year, but I do have high hopes for this one. I do think it will be really good. I'm not going to show you all of the books I bought from the HarperCollins 50% off sale, but I did get 13 Agatha Christie books during it, and I got these beautiful hardback editions of them, and this is just one of them, one of 13. I do have a short where I unboxed them all, and I'm not going to lie, HarperCollins did a terrible job at boxing that box. It got a little bit damaged in transit, and it just wasn't packaged nicely, but it's fine. The books were predominantly in good condition, but the reason why I bought them all was because of the 50% off sale, which after buying, I have found out that they do the 50% off sale nearly every other week. So it didn't even matter that I went for. I was genuinely racing to the website being like, oh my gosh, I need to take advantage of this. Only realize I get emails about a 50% off sale literally, yeah, every other week. So what was the point? But now I'm going to try and read like an Agatha Christie book a month at least to try and pick up with the backlog and to get some fresh videos out. And one of those is The Murder at the Vicarage, which I did read last month. And I have read another book that I got in this kind of batch of books as well. So I am making decent progress with the Agatha Christie books on my TBR. And this was good. Like, it wasn't brilliant. It is a Miss Marple book. But do I end up solving it? Do I not? You will have to watch the video to find out. But one of the main reasons why I love reading Agatha Christie books is that interactivity where I do try to solve the mystery before reaching the end. Are these the best books ever written? No, to me, absolutely not. But to me, these are just so fun to read and I have the best time trying to solve them. And I do think I'm going to end up continuing to collect these really nice hardback editions that HarperCollins have been releasing. I did haul The Fisherman by John Langan over the last couple of months, and I have already read this one. And again, I did like it. I did have higher hopes for it as well. I thought I would enjoy it more than I did. It went in a different direction to what I was expecting, but I did do this one for the Literally Dead Book Club with Kayla, Jordaline, and McKenna, and we had a fantastic time discussing it. Even though I didn't love this one, there are still so many things that you can talk about with it, with some really standout scenes that I think will stick with me for a long time. This is horror, and we do follow Abe and Dan, and they both have lost their wives, and they go on a fishing trip together. They end up going to a lake where the fisherman is apparently a big figure there. He's almost like a folktale, an urban legend, and we've learned a little bit more about that. There is a massive section where you do learn more about that legend, and it was fascinating, but there were parts of this book that I didn't fully love, so it wasn't my favorite book at all, but definitely a great book to discuss. And I do think worth checking out as well. If you want to read it yourself, I do think it's worth checking out. Oh, the next book I have read, but I DNF'd it, and it's Beyond the Planet of the Vampires by Ulrich Bobe, and I hated it. It was so bad. I read this for Jan's Worst Books video, and it's just full of nonsense. Like, the way it's written didn't make a whole lot of sense, and there is a specific word for it. It is an avant-garde queer horror novel, and that sounds so up my street, but the writing style itself I did not gel with. I should have researched it a lot better before I picked this one up, but I did say this in Forbidden Planet and I was instantly sold because I just freaking loved the way it looked. And again, like, the back of this does sound fantastic, but it didn't translate at all in my head the way the back is trying to sell it, because it's just crazy. It's just a whole bunch of nonsense. And I'm sure you could dig in deep and you could find meaning in these words, but I ain't all about that university lecture life. So I DNF'd it, and I am not looking back. I am not looking back. But if you want to give it a go, Godspeed. Let me know if you think it makes sense. I did pick up Strange Buildings by Iketsu. This is another one that I've already read. I gave this one 4 stars. It is my favorite Iketsu book so far. It does still have those shortcomings that prevent Iketsu books from getting a 5-star from me. And usually that is because we get ourselves a little bit too wrapped up in trying to explain everything, because we have in this one strange buildings. So like in the first one, we have like strange pictures where there were strange pictures that tell a story if you put them all together, something sinister. And then we have strange houses, which is all about like houses and their floor plans. This one is buildings, so totally different because there are different kinds of buildings, and it's weird. Definitely a lot of weirdness. There was definitely a chapter as well that was really tough to read, and that was to do with like child abuse, and this doesn't shy away from a lot of that darkness. And yeah, some of these stories, you know, it feels like, you know, little short stories that all come together in the end because it gets over explained by Iketsu, and it ends up then becoming a little bit unbelievable at times because of that as well. But it's still like so good. I had such an entertaining time. I do read this for my Scream vlog. So I took this to the Scream house with me, and that will be my first Vlogs of Halloween video of 2026. So that will be coming out in September. My members already have early access to it. But if you're wondering where my review of this book is, it is in that video. I recently read Vigil by George Saunders. This was another one that was a little bit weird. And ever since reading this, I have heard that the audiobook does help with it. We have Jill, and she is almost like a spirit and she helps other souls to cross over, sort of thing. I'm saying sort of thing because it's like not that straightforward, but she ends up getting like a new charge. And this guy who has just died, he lives with no regrets, even though he definitely should have regrets. He's led a very questioning life, to be quite honest, but he doesn't have regrets himself. And so we do like kind of explore that. We explore Jill as well. And it was a weird one. I don't think I fully understood everything that this book was doing. Definitely different, and it was short enough that I plowed through it pretty quickly. But it was just okay to me. I will probably end up unhauling this book. I know this is a book haul, but because I've already read a few of them, I already know which ones I actually ended up enjoying and didn't enjoy. But hey, at least I'm getting through some books that I've been buying. My Nevernight book came, and it is Japanese Gothic by Kylie Lee Baker. I am so excited to read this because I loved Bat Eater, and I really do love this edition of the book. Oof. Oh my god, that is... this is actually the first time I've looked under the dust jacket. This is actually kind of scary. That's actually kind of terrifying. Oh god, I'm so excited. Oh, sorry, did I say Nevernight? I meant Evernight. So this has two timelines, one set in 2025, the other one in 1877. In the 2025 timeline, we have a guy who has killed someone, but he can't remember where he hid the body. And in 1877, we follow a female samurai who is trying to protect her family from being murdered. And somehow those two timelines kind of intersect, and these two characters intersect. Don't know how, don't know why, don't know when, don't know who, don't know what. So I will be very excited to find out what in the world is going on in this one. I have heard good things about it so far, and yeah, after loving Bat Eater, definitely cannot wait to give it a read. Daughter of Crows by Mark Lawrence. I got this from a broken binding. Again, I'm sorry. I'm so repetitive. I do apologize. And this one came through, and don't get me wrong, like I liked The Book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence. This one came, and I hate the series title, which is such a nitpicky thing, but it's like one of the worst series titles I've ever heard of in my life. So this series is apparently called The Academy of Kindness. The Academy of Kindness. That's what the series is called, really? You couldn't think of a better series title for this? Oh my... Again, like, I know that's such a nitpicky thing, but that alone makes me kind of not want to read this. I'm sure it's good. I am sure it's good. And, you know, the Broken Binding always knock it out of the park when they come to designing their books. I believe 100 girls get sent to an academy, and then 10 years later, only 3 emerge out of the academy alive. So the premise does sound good, and I imagine the Academy of Kindness, you know, that title, that name, is definitely not exactly what it's entailing. So there are more layers to what that means. Is it a kindness that they're being killed and slaughtered? Who knows? So I'm trying not to let the series title put me off and just enjoy this one. I had no idea I was coming from the Broken Binding, but I'm sure it's good. I did like The Book That Wouldn't Burn. So I do like Mark Lawrence, at least like from that one book I've read. And then the final 2 books are both from Illumicrate, but I have now cancelled Illumicrate. The only Illumicrate adjacent box that I get is Evernight. So I end up getting Salt Swept by Catalina Watt as one of my final Illumicrates, as well as Asia by Surya Buzo. Not 100% sure. I will definitely check out the pronunciation of this author name when I get a chance to read this one. But yeah, these are my very final 2 Illumicrate books, so I'm never going to be getting Illumicrate ever again. I did want to make sure that I still got the early access email, so I'm keeping my Evernight subscription, and I have enjoyed the Evernight subscription way more than the just general Illumicrate subscription of recent times. This one follows a pirate crew, and they are on an adventure across the ocean. It does sound really cool because I do love pirate stories, but the main draw of this book is that there is a thirsty or ravenous queen, and the world is in danger because of her. So yeah, ragtag team as well. I do love a good ragtag team. This one follows Aisha. She's the daughter of a Moroccan freedom fighter, and she is ready to fight. There is apparently a creature that lives under Aisha's skin, and as, you know, these battles and these wars go on, this creature inside of her craves to be out. I did actually say this in Waterstones a few months ago, and I did actually pick it up. I thought, this looks really good. I didn't buy it, but I picked it up in a vlog. I think it was in the Slice of Life vlog that I filmed with Steph. And I actually do like pick it off the shelf and I'm like, oh, this looks good. So actually I was very pleasantly surprised that Illumicrate sent this, but I do think it is time that I just cancel my Illumicrate subscription and move on from that. So yeah, the only book box subscriptions I have now are Fairy Loot Epic Fantasy, Evernight, and 3 Broken Binding subscriptions because they are my favorite book box, and they have now got 3 of them as well. And one of them used to be like bi-monthly or like quarterly, but now it's monthly. And I'm like, okay, maybe we need to slow down with these because this is getting ridiculous. But hey, considering how many I used to have a couple of years ago, this is actually impressive for me. But yeah, that was my book haul, my belated birthday book haul for some of these. And yeah, please like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you haven't already. Leave all your comments down below. Let me know if you've read any of these. Any that you would recommend that I try to prioritize, I would always love to know. I want to give a huge thank you to my channel members for support my channel. If you'd like to join my channel membership, then the link is in the description box. But yeah, I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye.